Hi there, welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at strings. In the last video, we looked at numbers, both integers and floats, and also we looked at printing, and now we're going to look at what strings are. And also we're going to expand that with string formatting. A string is a set of characters and symbols and numbers and anything else you want that have no meaning to the computer. When you have a number, that number represents a quantity or a value. A string doesn't represent anything. It's just the digits themselves or the characters themselves. And they can normally be used for things that make sense to a person, but not necessarily to the computer. This is all quite abstract, so let's get right on it. Create a new replit on Python 3, and then we can begin. For example, let me create my first string variable. And we've got here, inside quotation marks, so one at the start and one at the end, this arbitrary or seemingly arbitrary to the computer set of letters, symbols, and spaces. The computer sees this and it doesn't know what that means, but of course it does have some meaning to us. So we can use this for printing. For example, print my string. Once again, the print keyword gets followed by an opening and closing bracket, and inside it goes whatever we want to print out to the console. And now you can see that the string is used to say something to the user or whoever is running our program, and it's not used for things that make sense to the computer. So there you have it. We've built our Hello World app in Python. If you don't know what this means, this is just a really popular thing to do when you're learning programming. Whenever you learn a new programming language, normally you'll write an app that prints out Hello World to the console, because that's normally a simple app to get started. So congratulations, you've built your first Python app. Now, Hello World is not as exciting as the other apps we'll be building, so hang on to your horses and let's continue. Notice how this string has a double quote at the start and a double quote at the end, but we can also build strings that use single quotes instead. And it's totally up to us which one we use, either double quotes or single quotes. It does not matter as long as the one at the start and at the end are the same. Okay? So I recommend you try to pick one of those two, doesn't matter which one you do, and you stick to it throughout all your code. That's normally a good way to keep consistency. If you want to use double quotes, by all means do that, but always use double quotes. Don't change between lines of code or between variables and things like that. Always try to use the same one. Now there's a moment in time where you'll want to use a specific one, even if it doesn't match the style you've picked. For example, if you have something like this string here, because we've got a single quote there to write the its, you'll need to use double quotes on the outside. Even if you normally use single quotes, you will want to use double quotes for this and similar strings so that you don't mess things up here. If you were to put a quote here, and these were also single quotes, you'll see that this gets really confused. It doesn't know what's a string and what isn't, because you've got a string here and it doesn't know what this is. Okay? So make sure to remember that if you have a quote inside your string, to make sure to use the opposite quotes on the outside. Same thing if you have something like this, you'll want to use single quotes on the outside and the double quotes around your quote. Okay? You can also do this. But hopefully you realize how ugly it is. So you can do what's called escaping. This is an escaped quote. And that tells Python that this is not the same thing as this. It's something that will be inside your string, but not terminated or started. So you can do this.
but I don't recommend it. It's just a bit uglier, and then you have to start keeping track of which quotes are escaped and which are not, and so on and so forth. It becomes a bit messy. Okay. Now, let's move on to the string formatting part of this video. Imagine you have a name, for example, my name. And by the way, I normally use single quotes for things. That's just what I'm accustomed to. Feel free to use double quotes. Imagine you have my name in a variable, and you want to greet me. You want to say hello. You want to say greeting is hello, Jose. As soon as the name variable changes, for example, if this changes to Rolf, you'll want to go and change this string as well to hello, Rolf, and so on. So this is not great because you've got some duplication there in things you have to change. So the best thing to do is to make this greeting use the name variable. And the way we can do that is by adding it. Okay? What we've got here is a string plus another string, which is this Jose string here. Notice how the first thing has hello, comma, and a space. And then we add to it the name, which has no spaces at the start or at the end. And of course, if we remove this space here, everything will just be together. It will be hello, comma, Jose all together. If we have the space, it will have appropriate spacing as we would in English. Of course, we can print this greeting and run it. See? You may not be able to see. I know the text is small. Now, instead of concatenating these strings, that's what this is called, concatenating. Instead of concatenating, which can get really messy if you have a lot of things you want to join together, we can use a new thing in Python 3.6, which is called an F string. The F strings work by placing an F outside of the string, and then you can use the string here, and you can say hello name. Okay, so important, F, and then you open up your string with a single quotation mark or a double quotation mark. Then you can type out your string, and then you close the string out here. Inside here, notice how we've got these curly braces. And inside the curly braces, we've got name. Now, name, REPL is already telling us, is this variable here. Okay? And the F string, what it's going to do is it's going to look at the name variable and it's going to replace it into this F string here. F stands for formatted, and this is a formatted string because it's going to format it with the stuff that is inside these brackets. Now, if we print another greeting out, you'll see hello Jose gets printed out again. Okay? If you have ever taken other Python courses, you will know the second way of formatting strings. The second way I'm going to show you so that you know that this exists, because a lot of code uses it, but always use F strings if you can. This final greeting is going to only have opening and closing braces, and it does not have the F in front. So this is just a good old normal string. Okay. And if we want to format it and put Jose in here from our variable, we have to do final greeting dot format name. And what this is going to do is it's going to get this string here, and it's going to format it with our variable, and it's going to replace the curly braces by the value in our variable. Once again, if we run this, it prints, how are you, Jose, up here. Okay? Don't use this way of formatting strings unless you are working with Python 3.5 or below. If you're working with Python 3.6 or above, always try to use F strings. The only reason why I'm showing you this is because if you look at older Python code, in fact, the majority of Python code will use this format way of doing things. That's just because Python 3.6 is quite new. Okay? That's it for this video. We've looked at strings, which can use double or single quotes. We've looked at escaping quotes,
And we've also looked at string formatting by concatenating strings using plus, by using f strings, which is the recommended way, or by using .format, which is how the majority of Python code has been written over the last many years. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.